Renovation in France, more modular modelling. Here I'm taking some bits of shelving and stuff that came off one of the units I've already ripped down to make the modular units up in bedroom 2, and just finding things lying around in the barns, and you're going to be using them for shelving or whatever. That particular unit there, it reminds me of an aquarium. Don't know why, but it does. Anyway, we'll get back to that somewhere down the line. So the easiest way of doing this is just to make sort of modular rectangular units, which will then accommodate whatever they need to accommodate. And it just fills a little bit of a space there. The wall there is a bit naff in here because it's sort of leaning back. The timbers are all over the place. The shelf has been put in at the bottom there. I'm very pleased with that. And I put a very large bit of trim, which is actually the supports for the table that I ripped apart, which were in the bone in one of the previous videos. So that makes it look even thicker than it is. You know, the ply that's used on that shelving is about 1 inch thick anyway. And with that extra sort of trim as well, sort of 50mm trim, it's really making it look the part. So yeah, so I've got an idea of doing something with that long thin section that's hanging on the wall there, either making like a dry aquarium, if that makes sense, just sort of the scene of an aquarium, or something of a similar vein anyway. This is just a very, very quick run through what I've done. This is the largest bit of unit that I've made. Nothing overly complicated really about this. I mean, really, you could vice it in place to make it easier for yourself if you're going to do something similar. And really, this is just panels that were already that size anyway. And I just thought what I'll do is I'll just screw them together, and that will make a very basic unit. So nothing fancy. There's no dowels going in. There's no drilling holes to fit wooden dowels and gluing and all the rest of it. It's fairly quick process, basic process. Anybody could kind of do. And then what I'll do is once the units are all in place, they'll get screwed together, and it will become sort of one complete unit once I've played around with the actual configuration of it. So this is by far the deepest one that I've got. Maybe a touch too deep, but I'm just thinking I'm just going to stick with it anyway and put it in place. Just to, why not really? It's not going to it's not the end of the world if it ends up looking a little bit deep. It might be quite interesting, the fact that you've got that sort of depth to it there. The other units were around about some around about 10 centimeters deep, so about 4 inches deep. Others were probably double that, so sort of 8 centimeters, 8 inches or 20 centimeters deep. And this is the deepest one. So this is about 35 centimeters or about 14 inches deep. So I've got plasterboard screws left over, which aren't really great. They're not strong screws, but anyway, for this, these things aren't going to be taking any great amount of weight as such. So I like to use up whatever I've got. So I've got stacks of these long plasterboard nails left over, or screws, 50mm. I just thought I'd use them 2-inch plasterboard screws, 3 along each section, and then it's a question of clean it off, give it a bit of a sand down, and then bring it in a primer, ready to be brought in whatever colour it's going to be brought in. So there you go. Lesson for anybody there. Anybody can do these. They're not hard to do. And there's one configuration that I've sort of put in place that I kind of like. The sticky out one is quite sticky out, but there's nothing wrong with a bit of depth as far as that's concerned. So that's I'm going to be putting 6 units in. There's 3 that are one size, 2 that are another size, and 1 that's the biggest size. And then you've got what was a wardrobe drawer, which I'll probably put shelving into. It's the one that's the upright. And then the long thin one is going to be, I'm going to create some sort of scene within there. I just know it. Either it's going to be aquarium, or it's going to be walk in the forest, or something like that. You have to leave it with me, and I'll get back to you on that, exactly how it looks. You'll see it when it's done. But I've got an idea. There's a space on the bottom area that you could put some sort of gravel and stuff in. So it would be, you'd have a loose granular material. Then I might put like mini trees down there. I might, like I say, make it sort of an aquarium type situation going on, just for a bit of interest, just for why not? Things you can do, things you can do when you're single, things you can do when you're divorced, and not have anybody critiquing you over your choices. Right, there you go. Still room for the telly, as big a telly as I can get in there, ideally. The trim, you can see the trim edge is back there just because where it meets the staircase. So again, that adds wee bit of a feature to it as well. You've got a power point directly in the shelf area, directly underneath where the TV will be sitting. That's quite good. So that's that kind of section taken over, and then we had this section here. So we've got this grotty, horrible bit of wall. Again, these are bits of wardrobe. These are bits of ply that were lying around, and trying to make good that section of wall there, which is a right old state. Not a lot you're going to be able to really do with that. You could plasterboard it, but that's boring, isn't it? So I'd like to try and keep the timbers up the top area there, sort of visible. The cob's sticking out way more than the timbers are. I might have to trim that back. But anyway, so that's one side, that's the other. But it's in a very poor state. So to me, it made more sense to put some wood paneling, but slightly higher than you would anticipate. And with that, then it's kind of defines it as an area to, like, say, stick your car keys or put your letters on there that's been received from the La Poste. I've also found there was sections of wardrobe which I could save, sections which I couldn't. And I decided I'd put a piece in as well on the left hand side, which would work against the door frame, and again tidy up that section, which is obviously where the blockwork got chopped out. So there you can see there's a bit of shelf been put on it there, and a bit of wardrobe sections in place as well. So it's already looking a bit lopsided than it was a few minutes ago. And it's just a question then of tidying up the cob and cleaning up the timbers above it. But with that, I think that works quite well on its own as a standalone bit of panelling. It'll wrap round, you can wrap round to meet the wall there, and invariably probably run something, maybe like a window seat, directly underneath the window there. I think that might be quite interesting. Obviously, that would add a bit of storage as well into that area. So that's something that I would be possibly proposing to do in the near future. Right, so obviously with all this then, you wash it down, or you clean it off, filler it, and sand it, and then stick a coat of white primer on it, really, just to make it look a bit better. As a PowerPoint there as well. So there you can see just a primer coat goes on it. I haven't decided on colours in this room as yet. But anyway, so that's more modular modelling. I hope you liked it. Please leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video.